do Genesis chapter 47. And Joseph came and told Pharaoh and said, My father and my brethren and their flocks and their herds and all that they have are come out of the land of Canaan, and behold, they are in the land of Goshen. So they're all in Egypt. And he took some of his brethren, even 5 men, and presented them unto Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto his brethren, What is your occupation? And they said unto Pharaoh, Thy servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. They said moreover unto Pharaoh, For to sojourn in the land, and are we come, for thy servants have no pasture for their flocks, for the famine is sore in the land of Canaan. Now therefore we pray thee, let thy servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spake unto Joseph, saying, Thy father and thy brethren are come unto thee. The land of Egypt is before thee. In the best of the land make thy father and brethren to dwell. In the land of Goshen let them dwell. And if thou knowest any men of activity among them, then make them rulers over my cattle. And Joseph brought in Jacob his father, and set him before Pharaoh, and Jacob blessed Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, and Pharaoh said unto Jacob, How old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, The days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of the years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers in the days of their pilgrimage. So he's 130, and we find out in a couple chapters he lives to be 147, living in Egypt. So he lived there 17 years after this. So he's 130. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh and went out from before Pharaoh. And Joseph placed his father and his brethren and gave them a possession in the land of Egypt, in the best of the land, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. So doesn't that kind of seem like this Pharaoh Ramses I had already been there at this point? They're kind of giving you a clue. I don't know. And Joseph nourished his father, because the Exodus, people say that's Ramses II, but here they just say Ramses. So he's already been there. Maybe he was the one before this one. I don't know. And Joseph nourished his father and his brethren and all his father's household with bread according to their families. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore, so that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. And Joseph said, Give your cattle, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses, and he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. When that year was ended, they came unto him the second year, and said unto him, We will not hide it from my lord, how that our money is spent. My lord also hath our herds of cattle. There is not aught left in the sight of my lord, but our bodies and our lands. They have nothing, not even their cattle this time. It's just getting worse and worse. Wherefore shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh. And give us seed, that we may live and not die, that the land not be desolate. And Joseph bought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh. For the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed over them, so the land became Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the borders of Egypt even to the other end thereof. Only the land of the priests bought he not, for the priests had a portion assigned them of Pharaoh, and did eat their portion which Pharaoh gave them. Wherefore they sold not their lands. So they have special privilege, the priests. Bald-headed priests shave their heads and stuff. Then Joseph said unto the people, Behold, I have brought you this day in your land for Pharaoh. Lo, here is seed for you, and ye shall sow the land. And it shall come to pass in the increase that ye shall give the fifth part unto Pharaoh, and 4 parts shall be your own, for seed of the field, and for your food, and for them of your households, and for food for your little ones. And they said, Thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. And Joseph made it a law over the land of Egypt unto this day, that Pharaoh should have the 5th part, except the land of the priests only, which became not Pharaoh's. So that kind of increased to this day, to our taxes these days. They get 1/3, and he's, a 5th. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. That's Jacob. And he called his son Joseph, and said unto him, oh, wait a second. So the priest land does not become Pharaoh's. Verse 27, And Israel dwelt in the land of Egypt, in the country of Goshen, and they had possessions therein, and grew and multiplied exceedingly. So after this famine was over, they did great. Jacob and the 70 that Israelites that came in 66, and then including Jacob, Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh, that made it 70. So, and Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the whole age of Jacob was 147 years. So he's 147 years old. And the time drew nigh that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph, and said unto him, If now I have found grace in thy sight, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me. Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. But I will lie with my fathers, and thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear unto me. And he sware unto him. And Israel bowed himself upon the bed's head. So, chapter 48. And it came to pass after these things that one told Joseph, Behold, thy father is sick. And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, Behold, thy son Joseph come unto thee. And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed. And Jacob said unto Joseph, God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a multitude of people, and I will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, which were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine. And thy issue, which thou begettest after them, shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. So this is talking about he's kind of, I think he's referring here now to Reuben. He's going to talk about in the next chapter, that his birthright, even though he was the first and he made him so happy, that he has a couple of rebukes for him and also for Simeon and Levi. So I'm not really sure what this means. And thy issue, which thou begettest after them, shall be thine. Maybe that's his issue. I'm not sure. Oh. Well, that's very confusing. And as for me, when I came from Paddan, Rachel died by me in the land of Canaan, in the way, when yet there was but a little way to come unto Ephrath. And I buried her there in the way of Ephrath. The same is Bethlehem. So he's saying he buried Rachel in Bethlehem. There's something else I have to figure out, because, well, let's just move on. And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, Who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, They are my sons, whom God hath given me in this place. And he said, Bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, God hath shewed me also thy seed. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he bowed himself with his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand, toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand, toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. So he's intending for his oldest, Manasseh, to get blessed first, is the firstborn. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the God which fed me all my life long unto this day, the angel which redeemed me from all evil. Bless the lads, and let my name be named on them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him, and he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And his father refused, and he said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he shall also be great. But truly, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations. So even though Manasseh is the older one, Ephraim will be the one favored. And now I'm confused too, because I thought they were possibly twins, but they're not mentioning that again yet. We'll see. But what does this mirror? The story of Jacob, Esau and Jacob. That little confusing blessing that went on. But that was trickery. This is forward, direct. He's telling them, I know I'm blind, but I know what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And Joseph tries to stop it, but he's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. Thank you. Okay. So, and he blessed them that day, saying, in thee shall Israel bless, saying, God make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I die, but God shall be with you, and bring you again unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Who knows? That is confusing. I tried to look that up. Maybe this last verse, verse 22, is talking about, because we don't see any military fighting with Jacob in particular, so maybe it's in reference to when they did have to go through that whole episode in Sodom and Gomorrah, and in 33:17 it talks about Jacob journeyed to Sukkoth, which is the first time Sukkoth is mentioned, which I didn't realize was something mentioned at this point. And then he made an altar, and he called it El O Israel. And maybe it has something to do with that land, because he bought that from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father. Maybe he's giving him that particular piece of land. Maybe he's giving him so it's kind of mysterious, that verse. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. So maybe he's talking about after they had that fight, and he was able to get that land because he's dealing with giants, these Amorites who were living in like the mountains and all over the place, probably pretty wild, but they made an agreement. Maybe that's what he's talking about, otherwise I'm not sure. But here we are now preparing for Jacob's death. In chapter 49, we will talk about the 12 tribes. We will talk about, he gives a little judgment to 3 of them. And then he kind of includes Joseph's sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. So, and then earlier when he talks about giving Joseph in thy issue, which thou begettest after them, shall be thine, and shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. So maybe something kind of happened with Reuben and Simeon and Levi. I'm not sure. They're kind of replaced by Joseph's sons a little bit. They have their birthright taken away. I'm not really sure. But they remain, even in Deuteronomy. The 12 tribes, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Isaac or Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, and Joseph, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they'll start off in Exodus with those 12 still. So even though he's kind of rebuking them in the next chapter, those 3 sons of his, they remain the 12 main tribes, I believe. And then you go to Deuteronomy, and they are still the 12 tribes. Manasseh and Ephraim are not mentioned extra, like they didn't get taken out. But we'll see in the next chapter he has a couple of judgments for his first 3 sons, but everybody else seems to be okay. And then we'll end with chapter 50. This will be the last chapter in Genesis. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem, chapter 34. And Hamor, his father, deceitfully, and said, because we're back with that, Dinah. And that's why Simeon and Levi are getting judged, because they just went in to Shech. They tricked them. They go, yeah, you can join us. You all have to get circumcised. And they waited until they did that. They waited until they could not move. They cannot run. They cannot fight. And then they just went in the city and slew everybody. They killed all the men after they had them circumcised to join them. So they were very, very... But they were doing it because of what Shechem had done to the sister Dinah. So they killed him. They killed all of them.